Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. Sorry, microphone is absolutely in the wrong position for this. There we go. Where today we are inspecting the lower decks personally and being totally grossed out by it. So I don't really know where we're going. We're just going to kind of run somewhere. I did take a moment to dig through the UI and stuff and just click on all the buttons I hadn't clicked on before. And I found this formation control. I've set this like custom formation. I'm trying to keep like the soft members of the party sort of distributed throughout. My feeling here is that like Argenta's pretty tough for a back end. So we have like three people who are one person who's relatively tough in each rank of the formation. And hopefully this will mean that we go into battle, first of all, with me in position to hit people with my pistol more often. And secondly, without Abelard, like, all the way out by himself all the time. What have we discovered here? The Technomats are performing a sensing rite on the Sacred Power Transformer, but the machine spirits are running rampant and will not be swayed. But also, there's a box full of stuff. At some point, we are going to have to, like, reckon with how cargo works, I'm sure. For right now, I just keep like jamming things into my cargo section. Things that are already on the ship. Well, you'd think they would be kind of in the spot already. A statue to Magos Ionius IX, architect of Freight Hub LD 987A14.
I'll lay claim
And
to the
proud
stars.
we are. What have we over here? The Cogita dashboard controlling the rail junctions is lit up with indicator lumens for active hubs. Arrival and departure announcements are pouring out of the Vox systems. Right, because they have to run a whole city transit situation here just to get people around the ship. Alright, I think that's all that we need to see in here. Let's make way into the container proper. Is that blood? But it can't be. We scrubbed the deck 3 times right before the Rogue Trader came. Oh, Void take me. The captain will have our heads. No. Don't worry. This is normal. We were expecting this. It's not moving forward, though. Okay, there we go. Is this the welcome you give the Rogue Trader? Abelard's nostrils flare in anger. Whoever had the audacity to leave behind this appalling symbol, I will see to it that the Master-at-Arms calls them to account herself. The corner of the captain's mouth twitches nervously as he mutters. Damn those. How did they even... I have enough awareness to be able to see the mark, or rather Adira does. But I'll use hers. You've seen this sort of symbol before. Death cultists carve bleeding marks like this into their own skin. Kibella carves the same symbol on the back of her hand with a knife and whispers a prayer. Can you not do that all the time? I get that, like, part of your creepy mystique is that you're obsessed with blood and there has to be blood everywhere. But, like, for real, you are getting blood everywhere. Dom and Samhain, remember this sign, which is the beginning of your quest, the first blood trail. Yeah, well, obviously we're not demanding it be scrubbed out. This is an important part of the thing. If I was going to say I will not indulge the death cultists by partaking in their mad games, why would I have even come down here? Fresno, do you know what this mark is? Well, it resembles one of the symbols long associated with the blood-spun web. What was it called again? The Song of Trailing Blood? I think. It's a prayer familiar to many in this compartment. We've heard spinners say it when they, perform their signature acts of service to the Emperor. Fresno takes a deep breath. The soundless shadow sank into the dark, slashed feet crescendo, a fatal dance. Blade song in tempo, each edge an echo, twin odes to death throes. Now on her sacred blood, as she once trod the backs of foes. Tread countless souls, but none who know. You memorized the verse. Why? Well, when I took up my post here, I made sure to familiarize myself with all the particular qualities of this compartment. I soon heard about the verse and decided to investigate. I questioned a number of people who follow the blood-spun web as I was trying to figure out if there was anything pernicious about it. And eventually I learned the whole thing. He frowns. The words are certainly strange, but it's nothing worse than that, it seems. Okay. And why would they leave this mark here? I mean, I feel like it doesn't really make sense to say any of these things. This is a problem I feel like I run into a lot in these kinds of games. It's like the only things you have to say are stuff that doesn't make sense because why would you even be here if this was how you felt? Or like things that your character definitely should already know. Why would they leave this mark here? Gee, gosh. And that doesn't even advance the scenario. Are you kidding? Yeah, maybe it has something to do with inviting me to their temple. Maybe. Okay, so I'm invited to follow a trail of blood, it seems. Goddamn. I accept the spinner's invitation. Everybody in the grim darkness of the far future, all of the focus on Imperium and war and everything has made everybody so stupid. Alright. My whispers are getting antsy. They don't like this symbol one bit. And that's a good sign. It means we should keep looking. Alright, well, let's get through here and start doing the thing. Okay, so keep an eye out.
Avoid coming here. But how can one live aboard the flagship only to turn one's back on the core that gives it life?
I mean, how would you...
can just as easily take a life too. Especially if someone around here takes a fancy to your boots.
It certainly doesn't seem like you could be familiar with all the parts of it, right? It's just too much space. The bulky doors lead to the Enforcer's living quarters and the hub's provision depots. Right, and here we have all of our Enforcers shouting about batons and whips because we have learned nothing. This is the last of the hub's vials for this work cycle. Do you have any idea how much it costs? There, 57 ration cards. It's all I've got, I swear. Spent the rest on Rotgut again, I'm guessing. Well, I'm not doing you any more favors. Give up the drink or get used to life in the pestilence pit. These little dialogues do not advance very naturally. I hope you get hit by a train. Okay, that seems like a fully unrelated scene that we just stopped and watched for no reason.
None shall stand in my way.
Alright, so I was kind of expecting to see more symbols daubed somewhere. I guess I inspected the Enforcer checkpoint hard enough to level everybody up. Over here we have the rotting guts of someone unfortunate enough to be flattened by a train, glistening on the track. I don't see... I guess that's referring to this, maybe? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, we all leveled up. So at 16 we get another thing. Alright, so this level is a common talent and an activated ability. Increase an ally's resolve by 4 until end of combat, and extra action points if they get voice of commanded. Officer encourages an ally who immediately recovers from burning, bleeding, toxin, and stun. And if they were under voice of command, they also get 4 THP. I do like being able to shake stun off of somebody. That seems valuable. This ability can only target allies who have enemies adjacent to them. Until the start of the officer's next turn, all melee attacks made by the target deal additional damage equal to twice the number of enemies adjacent to the target when the ability was used. If the target's under the effect of voice of command, they also immediately make an opportunity attack against an adjacent enemy, targeting the one with the least remaining health. That's fantastic. That seems real good. The officer immediately grants an ally additional movement equal to their fellowship bonus, equal to the officer's fellowship bonus, I assume. The target can only use movement abilities, heroic acts, or desperate measures during this extra turn. If the target is under the voice of command, it ignores attacks of opportunity. Okay, that's pretty cool. So you can pull somebody out of a situation where they've gotten pinned down, or you can pass a heroic act over to somebody if the party has breached the threshold. Take aim. The target's next attack will ignore cover and will have double effective distance. If under voice of command, will also ignore enemy block and dodge. And the damage from this attack cannot be reduced below 45% for any reason. Okay, I think all of the stuff after Heir of Authority is like extremely compelling. These are all really, really powerful in the right situations. The thing is, what do I think the party needs from me? What are we okay at already, and what do we need the little push on? People getting surrounded hasn't been too much of a problem, and I think it's going to be even less of a problem now that we have an additional melee character to peel enemies. It's really hard to know. The thing about Break Their Ranks is it's extremely powerful, but it's not very versatile. The situation where it's great is narrow enough that I might just want to pick up, like, move can even be used to advance somebody into an offensive position if you can just get close enough to be able to set up opportunity attacks or whatever. I do like the utility of that. This one, you're going to find uses for this all the time. Yeah, let's take that for that reason. I think in the situations where it's hot, it's a little less hot than the others, but it does more work more often. All right, and then another common talent. If a high-road character has melee supremacy or superiority, the effect is increased by 10. We're not usually running out of AP, I don't think. Usually the problem is I'm not close enough to be able to shoot at people. We could pick up a boost to a base skill. We could pick up functionality with another weapon. That is maybe something to consider. Like, would it be cool? I am enjoying my flame weapon. Maybe it would be cool to pick up flame weapon proficiency. The thing is, like, it's so hard to grab just like a random weapon proficiency in the middle of nowhere, right? And be like, yes, I will use these, because we have no idea what the availability of any kind of weapon is going to be over the course of the game. To be perfectly honest, just like 2 extra movement points is not at all a bad pull in this system. And we've been a little bit short of movement to get into position so many times. All right, you get a characteristic and a common talent. Hard to beat weapon skill, I think. Now, one thing I don't know, just due to unfamiliarity with the system and the math not being super transparent, is I don't have a good sense yet of how much a point of weapon strength affects specifically just our offensive output versus taking, like, bonus strength, which increases the damage dealt on hit, you know? When you're wounded, you're better at everything. Affected by an ally's non-damaging ability, their resolve is increased by 1 for 1 round. I mean, none of that's very exciting, right? Allies affected by Brace for Impact get an extra turn with 3 MP. I do kind of like that, just like having a scatter button. Yeah. Okay, you get an ability and a skill. So until the operative's next turn, their allies' attacks remove exploits and deal int bonus more damage. I am curious, does this mean her int bonus or their int bonus? Because obviously the value of that depends a lot on the precise nature of your party, if it isn't just using hers all the time. For the next attack against a target affected by an exploit, that target's cover efficiency and block is reduced considerably. And this attack gets bonus hit chance. Yeah, the ability to dial in something against somebody who's in heavy cover, I guess. I don't know. Sorry about my chair, by the way. I have no idea why it has gotten so creaky. Operative gains cover efficiency, perception, and ballistic skill. I mean, that's not horrible. The operative's next non-area attack inflicts intimidated on the first target hit and enemies in a 5-cell radius around that target. What does the intimidated effect do? It's weird that that's not a mouse over. Damage dealt by intimidated enemies is reduced. This negative effect is doubled for enemies with less than 12% armor. Maybe that's the full text of the ability. Alright, this turns stacks of exploit into armor for the whole party. That seems fine. Plus 6% dodge, not very exciting. Allies that are currently infected by any of the Psyker's powers gain the perfect timing effect. When you dodge or parry, you immediately counterattack with the weapon. Okay. That's a pretty cool one. That requires Psyker Majoris and also Prescience or Foreboding. So Prescience just gives some raw stats, but maybe not the raw stats you would want most in combat. I mean, Perception probably is helpful. Or we can put down the Dodge Dome, but it's a not very impressive amount of dodge. Maybe it'll get pretty good over the course of the game. I do kind of want to pick up Prescience or Foreboding so that we can work toward Precognition, because I think Precognition is compelling. Perfect Timing is compelling. They both also require Psyker Majoris, which is, I think, an archetype decision. I guess let's pick up Foreboding, because I think Prescience seems kind of bad. And then... So your Medicaid is pretty good. Your lores are all pretty good. Your awareness is high. Do we want to bump logic or tech use? I don't know how many other people we have here who are any good at logic, so I think it might be that, honestly. Okay. It definitely feels like shooting. The question is just which shooting. So how does this... Well, I guess this improves your initiative and dodge chance and reactions. This agility does not factor into your shooting in this game, right? I guess let's pick up a little bit more ballistic skill before we stop focusing on that. And then you have another one of these common choices to make. I mean, I don't hate Ready to Serve. Just gaining resolve all the time. Even though, you know, obviously it's temporary. 3% chance to just flat ignore enemy attack. I mean, that's not horrible. I think the biggest danger of the Emperor Protects is that it's going to bait you into doing stupid things sometimes if you're not, like, disciplined about it. Devotee gains 12% to armor against attacks of demons and warp damage. Melee, flame, and melta attacks against demons and psychers deal additional damage and armor pen. Yeah. I don't know exactly how often we're going to be fighting demons and psychers and Xenos versus just like dudes. But this does seem pretty good, right? It seems powerful in the situations where it's powerful. Alright, the Navigator has access to a lot of the same moves as the Rogue Trader. They share some background elements. Navigator deals 13 to 30 damage to an enemy that must pass a willpower test or become immobilized until the start of the Navigator's next turn. I do think I like that. And then we get a common talent, and you do have so many to choose from. Yep, every even turn, right, the thing where you're constantly shifting back and forth between having points and having skills. I don't know how useful that really feels. I mean, I feel like we've looked at a fair amount of this stuff before, but it does seem like there's a lot of new stuff here as well. +1 damage for every 5 bonus characteristics of the Navigator's currently equipped staff. It's not so exciting. I was just looking at their equipment a little bit ago. They do not really have all that much math on those math sticks. Allies that are targeted by the Navigator's power grant +10% armor. So the thing that she's going to do a lot is like cone people with her vision, right? I want something that's going to make some sense in that situation, something that's going to give us something of value in that situation. Yeah, I think we'll take this. Dodge and hit chance down for every enemy that can see. Every enemy the Navigator has in there. So it's every enemy the Navigator can see, not everyone who can see the Navigator. Still, seems pretty good. And then one more here. Your weapon skill is only 50, considering like how hard you have to work to take advantage of your abilities and stuff. I feel like your weapon skill's got to be really, really high up. Alright, any Blade Dancer attacks me to the sword deal bonus damage, doubled if it was a two-handed sword. I did give her another one of our swords, like I said while I was flipping through the UI, because we had a few extra swords laying around, so she is dual-wielding now. Enemies attacked by the Blade Dancer have their stuff reduced by a pretty large amount, actually. Medicae determined by weapon skill instead of intelligence. Yep, okay, I can't get out at all. There's a lot of stuff here. Blade Dancer can desperate measure and heroic act in the same combat. Let's hope that it doesn't come to that. Whenever the Blade Dancer is healed for the first time, they're healed for an additional toughness bonus wounds and gain toughness. You know, honestly, Blessed Scars is not horrible. Whenever they use an ability that costs wounds, they get to move faster. Blah, blah, blah. When the Blade Dancer kills an enemy, resolve goes up until the end of combat. Weapon skill increased by your agility bonus as long as you're dual wielding. But that's a pretty small number, right? Oh, it's not actually doing the calculation on your agility bonus. No, don't close the interface. I want to go check stuff, you know? Blade Dancer deals an additional 5 plus something % damage against enemies armed with a melee weapon. That's kind of whatever. Whenever the Blade Dancer dodges an attack made by an enemy who attacks them for the first time, they get a charge of death from above. That's pretty cool. Gain +3 skill and agility for every injury you're currently suffering, and +10 weapon skill and +10 agility for every trauma. It's maybe not where we want to start. Targets affected by captive audience have their armor, dodge, and parry reduced. This penalty is doubled for targets failing the ability's toughness resistance test. So grand performance must make them... It's weird that it says captive audience, but I guess that's the name of the status that it gives them. Like I said, I think the one we took is not horrible. Kill an enemy with an attack of opportunity to get a DFA charge. That's pretty neat. If you're injured, you get dodge and move speed. When you attack, when you parry an attack, the number of attacks in the next Blade Dance goes up by 1, stacking up to agility bonus times. That seems pretty good too, honestly. I'm going to stick with Blessed Scars because this is a better solution to serious trouble than some of these other abilities are. I'm trying not to use the phrase win more, but there are definitely a number of abilities where it's just like, well, by the time you would be using this, it seems like you've already incapacitated your enemy. Or at least you should have. The longer you stare at the mark, the quieter the sounds of the station become. The shadows grow longer and seem to stretch in the direction of the adjacent section. If we can get down there, there's definitely some loot. Looks like that would be through these doors, I suppose. Or maybe not. I don't love that this is facing, like, inward into the courtyard that we were about to go toward. Mercy, please save me! The young man gasps for air through burnt lips, slipping in and out of delirium. His skin is dripping from his gaunt body like melted wax from a candle. His eyes, somehow intact, alive, clear, and filled with pain, stare at you from under his caked eyelids. So because I have some levels of Iconoclast, or at least one, I guess, I can run a bunch of people in here to save the people who are getting burned. I mean, presumably these people are getting burned because we are concerned that they are heretics or, just warp infested or something. But it does feel like we gotta do something if we can, if we want to know what's going on around here, right? Yeah, let's try it. A blissful smile twists the man's lips, and a tear forms at the corner of his ruined eye socket. The God Emperor has sent you to save me. You are his light. You are his grace. Thank you for not leaving me here. Never forget the mercy that the Lord Captain has granted you. When the Undying One is ready to accept a soul, it must be sent forth, and so will it be freed from the torment of the flesh. Yet you have chosen to prolong this one's suffering. Your intentions perplex me. Yeah, listen. Hey, buddy, do you know anything about this marker next to you? He tries to turn his head, his blackened skin crunching as it opens into scarlet cracks. No, sorry, I can put it in front of your face. You don't need to look. A spinner came. He painted the symbol. Then he gave me water and whispered a strange verse. He told me to memorize it and to recite it later, so that help would come. And here you are. Then I should... He begins to whisper, his lips twisted in pain. To soot-smirched soul, her mercy she did grant. Last breath expressed, knife met heart, removed from chest, passed on to death. Her duty blessed, a balm for those who suffer anguish and distress. A longing brought to rest, of mortal bonds the soul divest. Okay, that's not 100% what I asked. What happened to you? I'm Vale, a cleaner. I was in my house asleep. Enforcers came and set fire to it. I didn't make it out in time. I wonder how long he's been sitting here like this. A watch? 3? The whispers say nobody cared because he didn't matter, but they also say he's somehow supposed to matter to us. Strange. Well, okay, kid. Help's on the way. Just hold on a little longer. Of course. Thank you. Oh, and then we don't, like, wait with him for, because it's a video game. Alright.
Victory awaits.
So there's something going on down here. The workers, beaten to within an inch of their lives, are returning stolen power panels, wires, and microlumens to containers marked disposal. That's, these guys. Give me a second here. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. Sorry about that. This is it's rough. It's rough, the thing at the end of the schedule, of course. My throat is very worn out by the time we get here. Check this situation out. This guy's got an adorable rat putting on a little show. A group of gawkers are crowding around a makeshift stage, watching a strange duo perform. A man with odd-looking goggles pushed up on his forehead, hands wrapped in worn leather gloves, plays a tune on a handmade flute. Next to him sits a stack of crates supporting some kind of game board. A scruffy rat is rolling small glass balls around on the board. Hell yeah, let's stop and watch. Several workers empty their pockets and start throwing ration cards, bolt nuts, and even a few power panels into the small chest next to the board. The flute player winks at the crowd and switches to a different tune. The rat squeaks excitedly and starts rolling the colorful balls the players have chosen around the maze of tunnels on the board. But not a single one reaches the goal, a hole marked with a red circle. The rat just rolls all the balls off the board or into dead ends. Once the first group of players get their hopes dashed and leave empty-handed, new workers immediately take their place. Wait, so what is the game here? Is it just hope that the rat chooses to roll your ball correctly? Because the rat can absolutely be trained to do whatever the flute player wants with those balls. I'm going to watch this rat real carefully here. The rat scurries around, spurred on by the flute. Its movements appear erratic at first glance, but after a while you notice how consistently the balls seem to miss the goal at the very last moment. While the rat's clumsy, amusing scampering distracts the spectators, its nimble tail directs the balls away from the hole. Okay. So we rolled a 31 against a difficulty 90 task, which was set as the base difficulty of the task was 60, and then I have 30 awareness that added to the threshold, if I'm understanding that correctly. Well, let's just hang out and listen to the tune, I guess. I mean, it's fairly obvious what's going on here. Rats are smart as hell, very trainable. But we can just hang out and get ourselves... I don't even actually know how much 56 experience is, like, relative to a level up budget. I should have checked how big our XP bars are. The rat's movements, from the flicks of its tail to when and where it pushes the balls, obey its master's wordless commands with uncanny precision. The notes, the pauses, the rhythm, Every part of the melody serves as a signal to the flute player's tiny assistant. So, I mean, this guy's fleecing people, and I don't like that. I do love the rat. I'm so inclined to be positive toward anyone who has realized the possibilities of a friendly rat, but also he is fleecing poor folks. You there, why are you idling about and distracting the other workers? The crowd, which has been too absorbed in the performance to notice your presence, turns to you, expressions of frightful awe appearing on the workers' faces. Many start whispering prayers. The man stops playing and shrugs, a guilty smile crossing his face. Well, I haven't had work for who knows how many watches now, and even if they did give me work, the enforcers would just rob me of my earnings afterward. So I've found a calling after my own heart. I trade fortune for ration cards. The folks around here peddle away what little they have to spare anyway, so why can't I? The crowd echoes his words in cautious agreement. Perhaps you would like to trade us some of that captain's fortune of yours, your ladyship. The flute player bows respectfully and gestures at the game board. The crowd buzzes with anticipation. I assume he would let me win, right? I assume he would direct the rat to put the ball in the thing. Are you suggesting we play a game? The flute player smiles eagerly. Please, bless our little lark with your attention. Explain the rules of this game to me. It's simple. On this board, you play with fate. Choose a ball and give it to Bolts, my rat. If she rolls your ball into the pocket marked in red within 3 minutes, you win. If she doesn't, you lose. Simple. That's zero fate. There's no fate involved in that. How does anybody think there's any fate involved in that? The rat's in charge. Rats are way better than fate. I'm going to play fair. I'm curious if he will have the guts to fleece me. The man readies his flute, and the rat dives under the board. You hear clawed feet scrabbling against the crate, and a few moments later, a green ball pops out the center. The rat almost manages to get the ball back into the hole, but sharply changes direction right at the last moment. And then it happens again and again. At last, the ball hits a dead end, signifying your defeat. Another round, your ladyship? The man bows his head with a slight smile. You know, I've heard wise visitors from higher up say that this little game offers more than just amusement. They say it's an opportunity to test different strategies, to learn more about others and yourself. It's interesting, I think it's interesting from a game design perspective how little I've had the opportunity to do with the knowledge that he's directing the rat. Like we went and we hit those 2 checks, and I was presuming that either one of them would have given you the knowledge necessary to, sort of slyly make it clear to him that you understand what's going on or something. But there was no version of that conversation. There was no moment in there to go to do anything like that. And then here, all I can do is shout at him, or I'm curious what cheat means in this circumstance. But I don't want to come down here and just do a thing that's overt. If I knew what cheat meant, I'd be a lot more likely to choose this option. I don't want to come down here and just do something where it's I'm obviously taking money out of this guy's pocket in front of everybody, because that sucks. That's a shitty thing to come do. Yeah, he's kind of put me in a weird position here now. Or not he, but the game developers have kind of put me in a weird position here now where, again, my character's too stupid to approach this in any way that makes sense. You know what? All right, I've had my fill of entertainment for a day. Here you go. Cut a button from my sleeve and throw it to the man, which I've decided is how I'm paying him. Thank you for this generous gift. These folks will shower me in ration cards to get their hands on something that belonged to your ladyship. Fortune gave me the brightest of its smiles today. I mean, like, broadly, again, I'm not in favor of him fleecing poor folks, but also they seem to be having a good time, and I kind of got to give him marks for his cleverness, although it's mind-blowing how many of these people must live with rats all the time, and none of them can tell what's going on. Do I want to talk to him anymore? I'm curious about the flute, I suppose. He pats his instrument gently. Oh, my mother loved music. She used to hum beautiful melodies to me, and when she passed away, I carved this flute from her hip bone and learned to play, out of sorrow and respect for her memory. That's quite a story. I don't necessarily believe it, given everything else about this dude. But, alright, well done. I don't think I'm going to interrupt his shit for too much longer. Well, one of the local favorites could absolutely be a song related to the web somehow, right? Let me see. Play one of the local favorites for me. The flute player smiles mysteriously and brings the flute to his lips. A simple, brisk melody pours out of the instrument. The glum faces of the workers and traders soften a little, and the tunnels around you seem less squalid than before. Long after the music has stopped, many continue to whistle the unassuming ditty. You know, a flute needs no words to sing, but I am curious to know what story your melody tells. The flute player awkwardly adjusts the goggles on his forehead. The story of a simple man from the lower decks, honest with himself and others. He risks his life to protect the oppressed from those corrupted by power. He takes from the rich and gives to the needy. He helps without asking anything in return. Nemesite, or Nemesity, or something. Hero of tales, admired by children and grown folk alike. Interesting. I mean, this first one is definitely like the me answer, not necessarily my character. By opposing legitimate authority, or vile Nemesite tramples on the creed. It's interesting that that's a coercion check. Like, I'm going to get him to agree with me. I mean, he'll agree with me, I'm sure, but he won't believe it. A fairy tale indeed, risking oneself for nothing. If such a man existed, he would surely be profiting from your misfortunes in secret. Again, weird that it's a persuasion check. Like, I'm going to change his mind about the story. I actually am going to say the first... So the first thing is, like, he's... It is so hard for me to play a person on top of a power structure. It's such a role-playing stretch for me to play a person who is in any kind of power. I mean, a lot of them don't see themselves as the problem, right? I think I'm going to say this first one. It's a little blinkered. Like, our rogue trader Samhain believes that she's trying to help, believes that she can be on the side of good while still being kept in the manner to which she is accustomed. And she's living a little blinkered, for the moment at least. Yeah, I'm going to say that. The crowd nods in approval. The excited whispers merge into a single prayer for your health. The flute player smiles. For a humble servant, there is no greater reward than his lady's approval. I will try my best to inspire as many of your subjects with music as I can. Huh. What an odd fellow. Apparently there's a control panel that can be repaired down at the bottom of this funicular. One assumes I would have to be at the bottom of the funicular. But it looks like there's a way down there. Boy, this is an inconvenient way for this roof to work. People are shouting as we pass about how I'm the rogue trader.
Follow my lead.
So presumably there's been some kind of infection or something. Okay, here we go. There's a crate of goods across an athletics check, which we can certainly make, or at least Abelard can.
Nothing's impossible for this old officer.
What have we here? A stack of ration cards, a charred scrap of parchment, Past the marketplace, make sure the enforcers don't something or you'll ruin the entire operation. On the tracks behind something. So past the marketplace, on the tracks, behind something, you'll find a little gift. Give it to him and you'll see for yourself. Okay. On the tracks behind something, past the marketplace.
An expected result.
And we have again here the mark. So the mark, as it is daubed on the floor, is it pointing in the direction we most need to go, or is the mark itself just a sign that we're doing the right thing? So here we have the tracks. The workers, beaten to within an inch of their life, are returning stolen power panels, wire, and microlumens to containers marked disposal. We may have worn out everything of value. Hold on. We haven't really been too deep on this side, have we?
I won't tolerate weakness.
There's apparently a commerce check to be made. Burned out folks' belongings, hot from the oven. Haha. One ration card off the price for regulars. This shift only.
Done.
Excuse me, what are you doing? Judging by the merchant's round, well-fed face, the rusty junk laid out on the counter is merely a smokescreen for the more valuable and likely illegal goods that are, for now, hidden from idle glances. Can I interact with that, or was the check just realizing that, I guess? Weird. Alright. I don't need to interpose myself into every petty crime that's going on down here.
I'll lay claim to the stars.
That guy's labeled Dead Man. Trank injectors, finger bone charms. Hey, I thought there weren't supposed to be any charms down here. Well, these ones are not necessarily heretical. Those goods are interesting. Hey, fella. A sinewy middle-aged man watches the bustle of the bay with a detached expression. Every so often, whenever his eyes linger on the blood mark inscribed nearby, his face changes strangely, and his hands clench into fists. Just as you begin to hear the rumble of an approaching train, the man's gaze turns toward the tracks. He leans forward. I mean, I'm very worried that what do you think you are doing is too slow. The end of that line is him already being off of the thing. This is an even longer thing to say, but at least it's a command, right? Once I speak to him with command voice, maybe he responds. I don't feel like telling Abelard to do something is the right approach here. Although I guess Abelard's more athletic than I am. Maybe get to the guy first. The man's gaze turned toward the tracks. He leans forward. The thing that's missing here, for me, the obvious thing that's missing here is me lunging forward to try to do something. Which is what I would pick. I hate the idea of Abelard do something, though, because Abelard's just gonna, he's gonna grab the guy and then he's gonna beat the hell out of him or have somebody else beat the hell out of him, or... I'm gonna shout the life back into him. Do not even think of marring the underside of my train with your entrails. What? I didn't... The man starts and almost falls, but manages to keep his balance. In the dim lumen light, you notice old scars scattered across his body. The scars seem vaguely familiar. Yeah, let me have a look at those scars. They vary in length, width, depth, and shape. However, you notice a pattern in the way the scars are aligned, as well as a series of faded symbols on the man's rough skin. Death cultists bear similar marks on their bodies. But spinners are constantly renewing their wounds, while this man's look long since healed. You look like you were about to take your own life. Having a rotten day? Oh, my whole life has been rotten, and I only have myself to blame. I've tried to fix things, or change things, fix things, but I always ended up here, so eventually I accepted the truth. Your eyes always return to that blood symbol. What do you know about it? Well, it's a symbol of the blood-spun web. I come here every watch, but it hasn't been here before now. I guess today must be a special day. He smiles strangely. The man's faded eyes go wide as he notices Cabela. His voice quivers. Have you come to take me to the other side? Cabela briefly studies the man's face, then turns away. I do not know you. Death's gaze is not upon you. The man lets out a dull groan and turns to look at the symbol again. But then why? Why is it here? You know the symbols of the blood-spun web, and you bear similar scars. Are you a spinner? I was, but I failed to complete my final assignment, so I was exiled from the cult. The Vizier told me to kill the one who would be at a certain junction of the utility tunnels at a certain hour. I went to the appointed spot, then I waited. An hour, 2, 5. The junction was still empty. Nobody came. After hours of waiting, I finally realized the person at the junction had been me the whole time. It was my turn to go to the Undying One. But I was afraid. I couldn't do my duty. I ran. So, the spinners simply let you go, though. They made no attempt to find you and kill you. Oh, there was no pursuit. I thought I'd see their black blades the very next day. Instead, years passed without them taking my heart. I tried starting a new life, but the terror never stopped eating away at me. When I got truly desperate, I went to the Temple of Death myself. No one there would speak to me. When I gave them my name, they just whispered, "Sebraid has gone to the Undying One." They looked through me like I wasn't even there. I've lived like this for 20 years, like a coward, like a dead man. You were ordered to die. For what reason? The man looks at you. But some would choose to leave the righteous path. These earned penance in due time. Her whip sings vengeance on renegade menace. Her blades pass sentence. For cowards seek to hide their hearts, but death makes no pretendance. It takes what it is due in essence. He stops, then adds hoarsely, the third verse of the Song of Trailing Blood. The Vizier recited it to me before sending me on my final assignment. I didn't realize at the time that it was my judgment. Oh, there were plenty of reasons. I sowed death. I offered him the souls of the most pleasing men and women I could find, because it kindled my passions. I killed well-off crewmen who didn't deserve their wealth, and I took their thrones. I killed enforcers who looked into my eyes without fear, because I wanted to be feared. I reveled in bloodshed. I betrayed the tenets. I realized it, but I couldn't help it, because I enjoyed it. Oh, you poor thing. I think I'm gonna cry. You couldn't stop slicing people up. That must have been so hard for you. Even my whispers have nothing to say to a pathetic tale like that. I bet they're thinking, what a lousy, self-absorbed sack of scum. Okay, Adira, if you're gonna butt in, could you do so with better dialogue? This is It's interesting that we have a choice that is marked as heretical to overturn the Vizier's verdict. I just don't see any reason to do so. This is like very much just being contrary for no personal gain. And if we're gonna do heretical stuff, it's gonna be for personal gain, right? That's like the whole thing. Have you killed any more innocent souls since you ran? No. I've been afraid to touch my own knife since that day. Thought it might just stab me on its own. But the temptation is always there. Well, this guy sucks. He's not a good person, but he's also like, he's been paying a price for a long time. It feels to me... Gosh, what do I want to do here? I would, I suppose, rather not have this person on the ship. I guess that's a good way to think about it. I mean, you do not sound particularly remorseful. Oh, I've spent years in remorse. I'm tired of it. I don't necessarily think that he spent years in remorse. I think he spent years feeling sorry for himself. I mean, you live on in suffering, fearful of every shadow. I mean, he isn't hurting anyone anymore, so I guess there, you know, the poetry of this is something. And it's what the Vizier... It's what the Vizier doomed him to, right? It's not overwriting the sentence that was given to him by another. And while theoretically the direction of the chain of command here is such that if I were to overwrite the Vizier's sentence, the Vizier shouldn't get mad at me and should accept that as the rightful way of things, I still gotta think there'd probably be a little cross, right? Alright, you're disgusting. I will not grant you the release you crave so much. May you live on in suffering, fearful of every shadow. No. What about the symbol, the portent? You were supposed to... The man's tired eyes fill with horror that quickly turns into hysteria. His knees buckle, and he staggers heavily before falling onto the tracks with a pitiful cry. No! Help! Well, that's an outcome, I suppose. Kind of a nonsensical end to the story. It's fine. Cabela stares at the remains of he who was once her brother in service. Truly, it is better to die for him than to live for yourself. This he forgot. Well, the problem was he was living for nobody. And he was killing for himself and then living for nobody. And that's not one of the options even. Okay, so we followed the blood mark to this location and we did this thing. And now what? Are we going to find more?
Smiles on us. An ill omen.
Are we going to find more blood marks indicating us to other locations? A greasy stack of ration cards. Okay. I see the goods, but I'm not sure how to reach them. So I'm kind of thinking if we get down... Well, I don't know how I would get around, though. Maybe through that door?
None shall stand in my way.
How many times do I need to tell you, ungrateful maggots? Mistakes must be paid for. And the guy in front of him is literally just like covering his head and cowering. Have mercy, in the throne's name, I beg you. The battered worker throws himself at your feet and touches the toe of your boot with his dirty palms. Is that the way you're supposed to do this? Your gracious ladyship, hand of the god emperor, save your unworthy servant. Get lost. Oh, Jesus. The enforcer's heavy baton pummels the man's back and shoulder several times. His bones crack audibly, and just a crazy amount of blood comes out for just a baton on some shoulders. My sincerest apologies, Lord Captain. Your boot. I'll clean it right away. A murmur of discontent breaks out among the gawkers who have gathered around. None of the other workers dare come closer, but the anger on their faces is plain to see. Hold on. What is happening here? I intend to hear this man out. What the fuck is going on? Your ladyship, I work hard, never even take breaks to rest, and all I earn is 7 ration cards with 15 mouths to feed back home. Jesus Christ. The enforcers shake me down every shift, just like they do every other honest hard worker who... Oh, enough whining. You and your pals lifted a box of Nutribars a few watches ago, and 2 canisters of water before that. I didn't beat the life out of you because I took pity on you. And this is the thanks I get? You quarantined the hub for 20 watches and refused to give out rations if we didn't have cards. Cards we had no way to earn. And today you earned 15 cards in a single shift because you do the work of 3 people, right? Or did you take your pals to a dark corner somewhere, do them in, and take their share? I didn't do them in. It was an accident. The worker stops himself, cowers, and whimpers. They got their heads bashed in by crates. The dead don't need rations. Okay, I got a lot of questions here. Am I to understand that enforcers are appropriating earnings from workers after their shifts? Oh, we appropriate nothing. We just monitor and redistribute. The enforcer mutters gloomily. The rabble are a lying and thieving lot. We have instructions to stay alert for people holding more than the standard amount of ration cards, to prevent supply embezzlement and famine. They do take our cards, your ladyship, and then grow fat using them for themselves. The worker's eyes squeeze shut tightly as he whispers his accusations. He seems unable to believe his stroke of luck. Well, he's certainly not the first person we've heard this from. Okay, I do want to fuck up these enforcers. It is definitely my belief that a lot of our enforcers need to get fucked up in a very serious way. We can have this worker. We can fire this enforcer and just put him in the same pool as everybody else. And I guess the hope is that just like by example, like gets people to change, gets the other enforcers to change their behavior. I need something a little larger, a little more systemic of a change. Return the cards. Do not abuse your position again. Pardon me. Every crime will be punished accordingly. Offer no protection to thieves. Yeah, listen, I don't offer protection to thieves or anything, but from now on, we prosecute top down. Also, 15 mouths to feed back home. Like, that might be part of your problem, dude. Add a note of sagely depth to your voice. Society, you see, is much like a boot. Its toe proudly directs the foot of the Imperium forward, and yet it needs a soul to stand on. You are the soul, good people. That you are down here choking on dirt without ever seeing a sliver of light is not the result of someone's ill will, but rather it is the logical order of the world. I hope that understanding this fact will help you make peace with your destiny and free you of all spite. No, it sucks a little bit here that I'm not able, especially after the interactions that we just had with Abelard. It really sucks that I'm not able to turn to, you know what I mean in the previous cabin. That I'm not able to turn to Abelard and say, this is one of those things. You're going to fix this, right? You're going to do whatever you need to do to these enforcers to make this stop happening, and it's going to solve some of the problems below it by itself. But fuck this enforcer for sure, at the very least. The enforcer freezes in place, not daring to raise his hands to his red-hot face, and squeezes out a lifeless, "Yes, Lord Captain." So we struck him and we threw him in the worker pool. The onlooking workers bellow triumphantly and point at the enforcers, praising the Lord Captain. A sullen, red-bearded man with keen black eyes draws your attention. His oddly piercing gaze seemed to size you up the whole time you were speaking, but now he has hastened to conceal himself behind the gawkers. The next thing you know, you are watching him hurry deeper into the tunnels. Red-bearded man with keen black eyes. May the God Emperor protect you and all of House von Valancius, Lord Captain. Yeah, me fixing this one guy up is not going to solve this problem. This is the thing Abelard needs to get on top of.
Victory
What is
awaits.
this? Okay, and it's not. Never mind. Only able to see half of this. I kind of thought it had more of like a fleshly suggestion, but it's fine. Anyway, all these goods are mine. Sure, you can have it if you need it so badly. Well, I mean, it's already mine, right? Once again, our character not actually necessarily living up to the loftiness of her stated intents. Interesting. A very heavy container blocking access to something down near the tracks. During each shift, railway hubs direct thousands of containers containing the rogue trader's cargo to various destination compartments. Hey, Abelard, can you get this out of the way?
Compared to naval service, that
Oh.
was barely a challenge.
Despite your efforts, the container does not move an inch, but I did hear a crunch of some kind, I'm assuming in Abelard. Huh. Well, we may have just whiffed the opportunity then. The thing about 80%, perhaps one of the most salient things about 80%, is that it is not 100%. I wonder if there might be another way around. Anyway, I was going to try to open this door, and I got distracted by the cutscene we were forced into. Wait, can I not? Okay, I opened the door, and it had no... There's just stuff piled across the opening. I can't even go in there. The base bulkhead is marred by traces of gunfire and rust-colored stains from old blood that was never properly washed off. Okay, so out of curiosity, if I walk us back up here to the place where this thing is and I just click, what do they do? Is there some kind of route here that I'm not seeing? Okay, hold up. Yeah, she's got a path. And it does indeed have more stuff along it, including more opportunities for Abelard to destroy his bones.
Impossible for this old officer.
Oh yeah? Nothing? What about moving that other container? Your ladyship,
Something of
please,
interest.
a ration card. Am I allowed to actually interact with these beggars that are following me around? A group of beggars are rattling their alms mugs and ostentatiously displaying their hunger-sunken bellies and various disfigurements. A toothless man falls to his knees before you. Your ladyship, spare a throne for those who can't get the worst jobs. Can't even get the worst jobs. All right, yeah, let your bellies be full tonight. I do have these ration cards, and I feel bad for having taken them at this point. So, praise be to the Lord Captain. The poor descend on the alms like a pack of gutter rats, each one scurrying off to their own corner with what they grabbed. So I lost one of my stacks of ration cards, presumably, but I did have a few. All right, what's in all these crates? Just more cargo? I don't know if, so like the cargo is separated into different categories, but I don't know if it behooves us to like really pay attention to any of that, if it matters. Okay, more ration cards. It does feel like I'm kind of helping myself to people's stashes, which I maybe should stop doing. But also, how do I stop picking things up? It's a video game. A boot print has smudged this symbol slightly. The trail leads toward the slums. Indeed, if I open this door, am I actually going to be able to go through it?
The premonition runs true.
Uh-oh. The game feels it necessary to save as we enter.
A new challenge for me?
What kind of thief leader, thief brute, thief gunner? What odd things to name these characters from down, like, what names to give them while we are still down here? Well, I have a feeling, I have a sensation that these people may be up to no good and that there may be some combat in our near future. But I probably shouldn't take that on right this second. I think this is where we're going to call it for today. Thank you all so much for watching. It's been a weird trip down here. I am not necessarily having the best time. Hopefully we're on our way. We're following the symbols slowly but surely. And when you come back next time, we're gonna spend a little bit of time decorating the walls of this compartment. And we'll see you then.